Hello friends, let us continue the practice of drawing and painting streetscapes from imagination. Here we will be making a quick pen sketch from imagination and then we will be coloring it using watercolors. Okay, so I will explain the entire process throughout this video. Without further delay, let us begin the tutorial. For this tutorial, we are using Canson Montval cold pressed watercolor paper 300 GSM. Okay, and I am using a waterproof pen for the drawing, and I'm just starting with some guys, some people sitting somewhere, sitting together. Maybe they may be in a cafe, or maybe they are sitting under an umbrella. So that is the idea to begin with. Okay. These drawings, as you can see, are sort of scribblings, not precise drawing. These are just for getting some idea, some beginning ideas. Okay, so this may get changed when I paint it, or when I finish the drawing. I might change some of these ideas. You may think that it is pen drawing and we cannot change. Yes, of course we cannot change it, but we can always do more and more drawing and discard some of the original drawing. I often do that. Okay, some of this pen drawing, even if I alter it, it will still be seen through when we do the watercolors, but I usually don't worry too much, because these are not these are practice works. And if some drawing is not uh, uh, if some drawing is still visible and we discard it, I don't mind it. Okay, that is the kind of approach that I have. Okay, so there are two umbrellas and many people sitting underneath, and maybe there are some buildings, structures next to it. Okay, right, some kind of an awning, some buildings. Okay, and I think this area is good enough. We have occupied this area sufficiently, and maybe a couple of cars, because it is a street scene. Cars and vehicles are always required. I mean, it is an inevitable part of a street scene. At least I keep a couple of vehicles, right? And some building at the far end, some structure, some random, imaginary structure, right? Some details maybe. Okay. See, I have discarded some of the drawing and I have corrected some of these drawings. Uh, I treat it as perfectly okay. I mean, ignoring some earlier drawing and correcting it. Okay. Then maybe another building next to that, and couple of figures. And the only thing that I am worried about this figure is, figures are, where do I place the figures and what is the size of the figures? Okay, these two are something that I think about, I evaluate. Right, I think these are good enough for the drawing part of it. Maybe one more figure. And I think we can now move to the coloring part of it. Okay, so let us make cobalt green color for the far end building. Okay, it looks too clean. I think I will add some sort of darker tones going forward, so that this much clean green I don't really like. Okay, some kind of a shadow or darker tones for this. And I'm using a small round brush for this. It is a small mop brush, to be correct, and maybe we'll make it a little darker. So this is not the usual paper that I usually paint on. It is not accepting the color as much as the other paper did. I mean, it is drying fast. I meant to say it is accepting the color well, but it is drying little faster. Okay. I need to adjust my speed. See, whenever you change the paper, usually you may have these difficulties. Different papers behave differently. Okay, they may, their drying time may be different, and the kind of feel that you get, the kind of feedback, the kind of feel that you get, that may be different when you change the paper. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the paper. Okay, even though it dries slightly quicker in comparison with the usual paper that I use. Okay, I think this is fair enough. I'm going darker as it goes towards the bottom, and around the cards it is really dark. Okay, I'm making it little colorful by adding some reds here. Okay, okay, now it looks pretty colorful in the white background. Here you may have noticed that I haven't painted a sky here. So I may paint it going forward later, or I may ignore painting sky. I don't always paint skies because sky may not be always that important in our work. Okay, if I think the sky is important, I will surely paint sky. But if it is not playing very key role, I may take a decision not to paint the sky also. It is up to you. I mean, if you really want to paint the sky, you can paint it at the very beginning. Whenever I wanted the sky, usually I paint it at the very beginning. And if I if I if I'm not sure whether I should paint sky or not, I may paint it. I may take the decision later. I may ignore it, or I may paint it later. Okay, so I'm just painting the umbrella so that they have some, distinct color. Okay. So this is a kind of a yellowish kind of. I think I have used a little bit of Naples yellow and a touch of burnt sienna. This building has become very warm. I I I think it was better if I used slightly cooler color here. Okay, so if you are following along, you may ignore, you may change this color. Okay, I'm not pretty happy with the color that I used. uh, okay, I should have thought for a while and then took a decision, because this color and the umbrella colors are looking pretty close to each other. So I would have preferred some amount of color contrast. Now, to make some color contrast, I am making the bottom area of the building a little darker by adding some gray color, some burnt sienna color, so that we have some distinction between building in the background, and the umbrella color. But I would suggest, if you're following along, I would suggest to change the color of the building to slightly different color. Okay, right. Adding more darks at the base of the building. And I would give some kind of a suggestion for some of these figures underneath. I am painting around these figures so that we get some contrast. Okay, and some darker tones. I don't want them to be purely white here. I may see these figures are under the shadows. I mean, under the shadow of the umbrella. So I don't need very bright colors for these figures. So I am kind of filling it with a slightly darker tone. And later I will add some colors to the figures. Okay. Okay. I'm adding some ground color. I have added the same color for here also. Okay. See, you can always change the color. So you can always change the color. If you want, you can make this ground as blue color or whatever color you want. Today I am going little bold with the colors. Really, it looks really warm at this point. And yeah, as I told you, you could always consider changing the color. So I want you to take this as a kind of a process tutorial, rather than the one to strictly follow along. Okay, so you understand the process, you understand the sequencing of the steps, and why certain decisions are taken. And then once you have an understanding of that, you can use your own color scheme, you can use your own subject. Okay, so those things, you can always make changes. Okay, then only you will learn. Okay, so if you just repeat whatever the steps are there in the tutorial, you may learn, of course, from all the tutorials you can learn, but you will learn more if you explore it further, and if you decide to make some changes, if you decide to alter the things by changing of colors, changing of the elements, adding, I mean, modifying the composition. Try to do those things so that you take more and more experimenting. I mean, you do more and more experiments, and then you learn further from the tutorial. Okay. Now a very pale wash for this, and again I will be using some some color. Okay, some warm color, but it is slightly different. It is not as strong as the other colors. Okay, and I'm making it darker at the bottom, because usually the ground, the buildings get darker when they reach the bottom near the ground, because not too much of light will hit in the ground area because of the surrounding buildings, etc. And yeah, at this point, let us do some more negative painting around the cars and the figures. Now we have good clarity of all the elements now. We need to define these elements with a little bit more precision. Okay. Maybe we add the darker tones for the cars. These are just suggestive elements. Okay. A very impressionistic way of doing it. These are not very precise. Okay. Okay. I'm pretty much okay with the cars now, and some shadow underneath. These shadows are important because these shadows will hook the element to the ground properly. Okay. Take a few steps back and see if it is reading well. I always do that. And there was some, I mean, accumulation of paint here, so I lifted it out. Some shadow tone for the umbrellas also, because they also should have a form. Okay. Some darker tones at the underplanes of the umbrella, so that they have some forms, as I told. See, all these elements which I am painting or drawing, there may be a little bit of a drawing issue. There could be some little bit of a paint. I mean, uh, coloring issue, because these are drawn without references. Okay, so all are from memory or from imagination. So there could be some little bit of some issues here and there, but here it is a practice. We have to attempt making drawings and paintings, and then making mistakes, and then we have to learn from those mistakes, and then we need to improve. So that is how we make progress. Okay, so little bit of issues. If you are too much concerned about making issues, you may practice. I mean, with more and more caution, and you may experiment less. You need to make progress. I think we need to experiment without worrying too much about making mistakes. Okay, so at least I believe so. So that is the reason I don't really mind about making small mistakes, in an effort to learn, learn further, learn more. Okay. Some colors, these figures are under shadow, so I'm not using bright colors. And I'm only picking up a few colors. Okay, I'm not using a variety of colors. A couple of colors like the red, cobalt greens, some darker tones like Payne's gray, some yellows, some oranges. Not too much varieties. And these are some darker tones so that they should give an impression that these figures, these people are sitting on some chairs and table. I mean, there are some tables and there is a shadow. The shadow may be due to the tables, they may be due to the figures, they may be due to the umbrellas. So there are some shadows. And the other umbrella is slightly farther away. So the figures could be tiny bit smaller, but the concept is same. They are all darker, and the shadows also represent the shadow of the umbrella or the people. Okay, so we will have shadows for this the second umbrella also. Some shadows here also. Right, they are kind of giving the impressions. Okay, I'm pretty much happy with how it is getting developed. There is a white spot here, I don't like it. Some darker tones under this, because there will be strong cast shadow, some shadow there. I think I am pretty much happy with the shadows there, the kind of overall feel of it. See, don't be afraid of making darks. Darks are very important. Okay, so be confident, be bold when you make the darks. Okay, it is the dark that will make the lights more prominent. Even though this work may not be looking beautiful, but we are kind of practicing a lot of concepts. Okay, lot of concepts, and we are experimenting with a lot of different ideas. Okay. Some figures, some color for the figures, and I am going for the skin tone now. These are some thick orange colors for the skin tones, directly picked up from the tube, and it is slightly an opaque treatment. Okay, because we are not diluting the paint, we are directly picking up from the tube and putting it on the paper. As I was mentioning, these are just impressionistic, not very precise. This painting is in real time. I haven't fast forwarded it. So at some places you may think that it is going slower, but I thought, making it in real time is more useful to the viewers. So please let me know what is your view on this. Do you think that we should make it, little fast forwarded to save some the length of the video? We should make the video less longer by making it faster, by fast forwarding it. Please let me know what is your views, because when I asked this question with in my previous videos, I got feedback that keeping it in real time is better. Okay, so please do let me know. If we fast forward it by little bit, we can cover more things in less time. So, but if you are a fast learner, then you may want to make it little fast forwarded. But if you are in the early stage and you want it to be at a slower pace, you may want it in real time. So please let me know. These are some sort of I would say dry brushworks for the details, architectural details of the building. And when we do these things, we have to be a little concerned about the perspective. The perspective is always important. The perspective, okay. So if you find that perspective is little challenging, I think the only way is to overcome. The only way to overcome is to practice. Okay, please do practice. Please do practice drawing. Okay, so otherwise it will remain as a challenge forever. I mean, if you don't overcome the issues with perspective and the proportions, drawing may be always a challenge. So better address it now and practice the perspective, practice the proportions of all these elements like the figures, the cars, everything. Okay. And when you see, the best way to get good at the perspective is to judge the angles correctly. So all the angles you judge it correctly, and if all the angles are correct, your perspective will naturally be correct. So judging the angles is one of the key things that I say to my students. Okay. So learn to judge the angles correctly. Practice it. Everything is, all these skills can be learned. These are learnable skills. You can learn it, okay, with practice. Maybe a lamppost here. We haven't drawn it. Okay, a lamppost. Maybe a traffic lamppost. Some additional, some skin tones for the people under the umbrella. So these skin tones will bring some life to these figures. So I think it is developing good. I'm pretty much happy with this, except for the strong warm colors for the building. Okay, I would have, if I was painting this again, I would change maybe the road color or the building color. The left side building color I would change. Okay. So if you're following along, if you decide to follow along after some time, after you watch it for the first time, if you want to try it out, so please consider changing the color of the left side building. And I might also make the road color little cool. Okay. Some refinement of the shapes there. Because we are getting into the final stage. At the final stage, we are doing those final refinements. Even though these drawings were not very precise, when we reach to the final stage, we add little bit of precision to the elements like the figures and the vehicles, etc. Okay, so that finally it should look all convincing. Right. So I'm thinking of making some cables going across. So I'm using a liner brush for this. It is a dry brushworks and the lines may not be very clear because the rigger brushes don't make very sharp lines because of the texture of the paper. These will have a sort of texture, so you may not find it line. You may not find the lines very clear like a line drawn with a pen or pencil. Okay, because the pigment that we have used for this is slightly thicker, and we are using a synthetic brush for the drawing for the lines. I think those lines are okay. Now we are not really, I mean, getting a feeling that the sky is not painted. It looks like the sky is already convincing, even though it may look plain white, but it is still, I feel it is convincing. Okay, these are some white highlights for the figures and other elements. Okay, so if you don't want to use white with watercolors, you can skip this step. Okay, I always say this. I repeat this in every video because some of the people have commented telling that we should not be using white in the watercolors, and I I tend to believe that it is the artist's decision whether to use or not. Conventionally, we may not be. I mean, people may not be using it, but if you think that it can help, I personally feel that little bit of these highlights, opaque touches are okay. These are not compromising to the overall transparency of the work. Okay, don't do it too much. Don't overdo it, but doing it in a limited way without compromising on the transparency of the watercolors. I think it should be okay. The figures are now looking good to me. Okay, some kind of highlights. Okay, even they are in the shadow, so they may not get strong highlights, but still I am adding these highlight touches to make them clearly visible against the background. Okay. Right. This is again little challenging because these are very fine works using a small brush, and you should be a little careful. Okay. These liner brushes and small brushes are all synthetic. All the brushes that I have used are synthetic, but for the initial smooth washes, I usually use soft synthetic brushes, and wherever I need little bit more precision control, I use synthetic brushes with a little bit of stiffness to that. Okay, little stiffer uh, synthetic brushes. Okay. Some directional line to create some sense of distance on the ground. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with the image. If you think that this video was informative, it was helping you, please consider subscribing to my channel and pressing the bell notification. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions, please do write them into the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to come back with my feedback. If you think this video can help your artist friends, please share it with your artist friends, artist group, so that they also can take benefit of this tutorial. And I also get the benefit that my effort are paid off by, reaching wider audience. Okay. So thank you very much once again, and we will soon see you with another interesting watercolor tutorial. And happy painting until then. Bye bye.